Hello, my name is Zach Rye with Old Man Gaming, and this is another Snap Judgment review. What is a Snap Judgment review? If you have never listened before, well, I think game reviewers nowadays get a little caught up in 100%ing or near completing a game before they do the review. They forget what it's like to just play it right away. So, I spend about 5 to 10 hours with the games that I review, and I'm just trying to give you an idea whether you're going to enjoy it right away or not. That coupled with the fact that I think games are one of the most subjective forms of art, I don't give a score to my reviews. Instead, I'll be giving you an overview of what the game is. I'll be listing the pros and the cons of the game in my point of view, as all reviews are. And then I'll be telling you whether I personally will be sticking with the game outside the purposes of this content. So, here we are again. I am about to do a big old batch of reviews, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am playing older games right now, so bear with me, okay? Because there's just nothing new coming out that really entices me, and I don't get these things for free, so I have to actually spend money on them, which means that, well, I review the games that look interesting that I want to play. So a lot of the games that I'm playing are games that are older. So here we go. Okay, so what are we reviewing today? We are reviewing Enshrouded. So now I dive into Enshrouded today. And honestly, overall I'm enjoying this. This is going to sound like a more negative review. And I don't like to do negative reviews because I do have a lot of cons here, which we are going to discuss. That being said, I've put 5 hours in, so let's do the job. What is Enshrouded? Enshrouded is a survival crafting game with kind of some light Dark Souls influenced combat. You are what's called a Flameborn. You are the last remnant of a dead planet. Dead and destroyed because of some weird mushroom-like growth that appeared after everybody got addicted to something called the elixir. But you are awoken for whatever reason and begin your quest out. You have to build everything for yourself. You relight an altar. You have a lot of classes here, and you start building a village back up, as well as waking up other survivors. Survivors who can help you along the way. This is definitely a multiplayer-focused experience. They kind of want you to play with other people, but you can play very easily alone. It's also voxel-based, which means that you can morph the landscape with explosions and digging and stuff like that. And like you can destroy entire walls and stuff like that. Which also contributes to probably a lot of the cons that I'm going to have. That being said, that's what Enshrouded is. Pretty simple. You'll kind of run around the world trying to find these things and build your village back up. You'll find like a blacksmith. Let me see. In my 5-hour playthrough, I got the blacksmith, the alchemist, and the hunter unlocked. And each one of them also give you options for new crafting, new items, new different little missions as well to go out into the world and do. Other than that, the world is pretty empty other than enemies and marauders that you will fight. You're using a stamina bar and a very hardy selection of different weapons, from two-handed weapons, double daggers, sword and board, and magic and bows and arrows and stuff. You'll also, like I said, mine and craft everything you need. You also need to supply beds and whatnot for your adventurers, so you can actually kind of create a little village for your people, which I thought was really interesting. We'll get into that later in the pros. And then you also are dealt with this entire shroud. The shroud is the mysterious, creeping mushroom cloud nastiness that is destroying the planet, basically. You as a character have like a certain amount of time that you can be in the shroud before, I am assuming, death. I never let it get that far, which makes things a little bit interesting when you're going into the areas to find stuff, when you have to kind of delve in for different materials, or you have to go into the shroud to complete quests and other missions. The other thing is this game is very vertical in a lot of ways, in a lot of ways that other games like this aren't. There's a grappling hook that you can acquire that allows you to scale certain areas and swing to certain places that you couldn't before. There's also a glider, much akin to like Breath of the Wild, that allows you to float around based on stamina. And definitely Enshrouded cherry-picked ideas from a lot of different games and put it into this one. And that's it. That's the game. You create a character, you go in there, you do it. I do want to also point out that this game is in early access, so keep that in mind when I go into the next part. The next parts are the pros and the cons. I always like to start positive, so we're going to go with the pros first. My big pro here is the NPCs. I think the addition of the NPCs here is really cool. Most games like this, when you are playing it alone, feel really empty. This one still suffers from that a little bit, but I think it is broken up a little bit by the NPCs. I also like the idea that you have to give them a bed and provide for them. You don't just stick them there and they somehow are completely fine on their own. They don't just become almost like personalized stores that you have to use. But you actually have to provide for them. You have to provide for them as the people that you have brought back and as the people who are doing things for you, which I think is cool. I think there could be a little bit more put into this mechanic, which I'll discuss a little bit in cons. But I think that like this is a really cool concept that I don't think a lot of survival crafting games like this are doing, which is cool. I also, while I am going to talk a little bit about it in the cons, I enjoy the voxel-based stuff. I like when the land is shaped by your actions, and it stays shaped by that. If I throw a bomb and I blow up a wall, that wall does not return, ever. It is blown up. And I think that that is really, really cool. I think it's really, this could be really interesting in that way to play with other people, especially if you guys are all on your same, like, kind of dedicated server, which I believe you can have in this. I believe you can have a server that's, you know, 4 characters that can go in anytime and they're on the same world, which I think is really interesting to see how people like develop and change that world, and how they react. And I really would have liked to play this with some other people. The group that I usually play my multiplayer games with just was not ready to purchase another game at this time, so I just had to play it alone. So I think that kind of hurt my experience with it a little bit, and by no means am I done with this game, but when we get into the cons, we're gonna talk about it. I think staying with the pros though, I like the variation in combat. There's a lot of different ways to approach a fight. There's also a lot of different ways to approach the weaponry, the armor that you come in with. Even though the options in some ways are kind of basic, I like the fact that there is, you know, a magic, a ranger, a couple of different weapon types for fighters. I think that's really cool. They also have some really, really cool like skill trees that I thought was very cool. It gives you a lot of character customization in it. I'm going to be comparing this game a lot to Grounded 2, because I feel like they're very similar games that I have played, both in early access, both survival crafting with a good heavy focus on multiplayer. So I feel like it's a good example. And Grounded 2 doesn't have anything like this. They have their mutations, but the mutations are things that you earn doing stuff in game, and you don't really know how you're earning them. Whereas with this, you can build a character a little bit more akin to an RPG, which I tend to like the RPG features a little bit more, which I enjoyed about this. But with that, we gotta get into some of the cons. Again, this is going to sound like a negative review. I don't hate this game. I was enjoying this game. There are some things that keep me from playing it. I want to say something too, before I get into this. I may just not understand how to set my computer the proper way. I have checked all of the system requirements required for this game, and my system adheres to them. So I am not exactly sure why I am having so many problems, but no matter how I set this game, unless I put it on max performance, in which case I have a lot of glitches and bugs that I'm going to talk about, what ends up inevitably happening is I play for about 15 minutes and the sound gets so far behind the play that it just causes serious problems. Like, I will swing an axe, and you won't hear the axe swing sound for a good 30 seconds afterwards, and it just, anything I do in between there, it's like it's catching up. I don't know why. I've never encountered a problem like that before, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong that I'm not fixing appropriately. I'm pretty savvy with this stuff, and I've tried everything I can think of, and I cannot make this game work on anything other than max performance. And when I go to max performance, I have some other issues. I get some pop-in, and I get some floating objects. The floating objects would be the first con, and the pop-in. The pop-in also happened a lot when I was playing on anything above max performance. But on max performance, I get these like floating objects that you can tell are probably part of something that would show up in the higher graphical fidelity thing. But that thing isn't there so that your computer works better, but it just creates this floating voxel in the air. Again, I don't think anybody buying this today, my PC is older. I don't think anybody buying this today is going to have the problems I have. So it's hard for me to really lock this down as a potential issue. But I want to warn people, especially if you're playing on an older computer or you aren't tech savvy, this might not be the game for you. Okay, so my next thing that I would like to, that I have kind of an issue with is there's an emptiness to this world, and I don't know how to fix it, because I like the NPCs. I wish they'd do more with the NPCs. And this is an early access game, maybe they will, but right now the NPCs, you find them, you wake them up, you bring them back to your village, and then that NPC needs a bed and does have a routine. They go to sleep and then they walk around your little base. But other than that, they give you a couple of missions and you talk to them and they become a store. I would much rather be able to have an interaction with them. I'm not necessarily saying romance options, but romance options would help. I think that one of the things Enshrouded could do a little bit better is alleviate that loneliness with solo players. And I know what you're saying. A lot of these multiplayer solo co-op experiences aren't made for that kind of a thing. I completely agree. I would not be holding it against this game if they didn't already have built-in NPCs that you can interact with. Like, double down on that. Create an experience where a survival crafting player who maybe doesn't have a ton of friends to play with has a little bit more reason to play, because this game feels a little grindy, and even more so than Grounded. Grounded 2 doesn't have any NPCs. This is true. But at the same time, you've got your buggies who are following you around. They're fighting things with you. At the very base level, it at least makes you feel like you're not alone. Whereas this one, like I said, they just walk around your base and you bring them crafting supplies. That's it. I think that it could be a lot better if you gave us reasons to talk to them, or if they could even come with you and help you. I think another thing about Grounded 2 is you have that bad guy as well as the other driving character that are constantly interacting with you. So you feel like there is a progression of story, a progression of stuff. This doesn't feel that way. It feels like, here's a mission, go wake this person up. You woke that person up, great. Go find salt for this person. Great. Now go wake this person up. And it's just very, very grindy. This, again, would not feel as bad if you were playing with other people, which very clearly the game is made for. And again, I couldn't find some people to play with. But overall, it just hurt the experience a little bit for me. And then finally, the real technical thing, other than the pop-in stuff that I was having problems with, is there's no building from your boxes. No matter how close to the workbench you move your crates, if your stuff is in the crates, you can't build stuff with it. So you have to literally go to the crate, take the stuff out you need, build the thing, put the stuff back. It's very frustrating and time consuming, especially when you have a very limited number of inventory slots on your person. So you always have to figure out, well, I've got to put this thing that I absolutely need when I'm questing back in the box so that I can pull this thing out, so that I can build this thing, so that I can place this thing, so that I can go back and get that thing, so that I can go get more of the things. And this whole kind of process just takes up so much time of the experience that if they could just streamline it by allowing you to anything in a box in your base you can build from. If they made it that way, things would be a lot easier. They need to influence that, and that's the way Grounded is. I mean, I think it's a distance range, but with this, they've clearly defined what your base is based on your flame level. Just have any crates in your base buildable from, and it would just completely fix this problem. All right, so that brings us to whether or not I'm going to stick with it. I don't know that I am. I want to go back to it. I want to give it another try. It has not been removed from my computer or hard drive. It might be one that I wait for friends on. And again, anybody out there who's about to type the comment that I'm a jerk or I'm an a-hole for being negative on this game, I don't like doing negative reviews. I don't want to do negative reviews. I don't necessarily think this is a bad game. It is an early access game. A lot of things are going to get added to this. A lot of things are going to be changed by the time they actually get their first release. So don't at me, not because it's not your right to at me, but because I don't hate this game. I just think for me, the experience is not there yet, as the type of player that I am. And hopefully it does get there eventually. So did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? You guys can still let me know in the comments below. Again, just want to let you guys know I don't hate this game. I think overall it is a good game. It's not for me right now. I do want to add one other weird one other weird con. Why does everybody look like a hobbit? Everybody looks like a hobbit in this game. Everybody has large heads and small bodies. I don't know why that is, but it is true. The game's proportions of the characters is very strange. And I don't know why everybody kind of looks like a Funko Pop. Okay, last negative thing I say. You guys, like I said, join my Discord, influence anything from there. And as always, keep watching this, and I'll keep making them.